Hey everyone, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes, and tonight we will be getting the reveal of the next set of new heroes to enter into the game in just a few short days. So these will be regular, non-seasonal heroes that will drop into the regular pool. And let's just get started. So I'm going to hit play, and after the title of the banner goes away, I'll look up so I can actually get surprised one at a time by the reveals. Alright. So let's look up. Love the fact that they got rid of that character splash. New heroes join the battle. Oh! Hey! It's Ingrid! So okay, we're getting a 3 heroes banner, apparently. Cavalry Lancer. Cavalry Lancer? I'm so used to seeing her as a flyer, it throws me off. Okay. Lewin, she does come with Lewin. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright, up next, it is going to be Dedue, Dimitri's vassal. Alright. He is going to be an axe armor unit here. Oh no, he's going to have the save skills. They're really pushing those. Okay, alright. He's got an inheritable axe. I'm curious to see what that's all about. Bam, alright. Oh, okay. It's going to be Linhardt, Hevring's heir. Alright. Got the sleepy student himself. He is going to be a cleric, interestingly enough. So he's going to be I guess that makes sense. He's going to be an infantry cleric. Looking at those skills, he is probably going to be the 4-star demote. If I had to guess. Rounding it out, okay, we are going to get Marianne, adopted daughter. I love the ice effect behind her. So she is going to be an infantry blue tome user. Icy Thimble. Okay, alright. Oh, she's going to have blue dual infantry 4. Okay, so they're pulling out the infantry skills. Or, I mean, not the infantry skills, the dual skills here. Oh, there, nice! I definitely like the ice effect on her attacking art, or attacking animation. So night and day, new story chapter, we are going to be getting Not. Nice! Excited about that. And yeah, so that is going to be starting on the 4th of March, all the way until, well, probably for 30 days. And it is going to have the sparking system that we have come to know and love. So starting on the 4th of March, we are going to be getting the banner called Seeds of Fodlan, featuring Dedue, Linhardt, Ingrid, and Marianne. So we are going to be getting 2 of the blue lions and 1 of each of the golden deer and the black eagles. There are not going to be any reds on the banner at all, so definitely avoid those red stones as you're summoning. However, there are going to be 2 blues. So Ingrid and Marianne are going to be color sharing. They are both going to be in the blue stones, which means that the blue stones actually have a relatively higher chance of having a 5-star, which is always decent. I will use this opportunity just to remind people that color sharing, generally speaking, is not necessarily a bad thing. If you are just in the interest of getting as many focus units as you possibly can, sniping on a color where there is color sharing increases your odds significantly of getting a 5-star unit. At the same time, it has really very little and negligible detrimental effect on the orb cost for getting your target. So if you do want Marianne, or you do want Ingrid specifically, the total change to your orb cost when there is color sharing is really insignificant. So a new 3 houses banner, and featuring characters that I think people probably wouldn't have expected them to wait this long to add into the game. Marianne in particular is very popular. Ingrid is also pretty popular. Linhardt has his fans. I'm sure Dedue has his fans too. So it certainly has a nice medley of fan favorites. I know some people are a little fatigued at how much 3 houses representation we've been getting as of late, and that we probably will be getting in the near future. But at the same time, 3 houses is the most current hotness, and there's a lot of 3 houses characters that aren't in the game actually. So they are kind of filling out that barracks and rounding it out, which I'm sure people are pretty excited about. So anyway, let's rewind to take a closer look at these characters, their skills, their art, to see if I think this is a banner worth pulling for. Alright, and here is Ingrid. We got her summer version in the game, and now we're finally getting her regular version. And this is going to be the Academy arc. I guess I should note, these are all the Academy arc units, which of course means that eventually we could get the War Arc units, versions of these units later that are also going to be new heroes. Who knows? I mean, who knows How long it's going to take them to introduce those versions of the characters, I don't know. But Ingrid looks great here. I've always been a fan of her thick braided ponytail. The art is very clean. She looks prim and proper, as you would expect her to. She is going to be a cavalry lancer, which is a little unusual, just because I always just identify her as a flying lancer, just by default. But I'm sure she'll fit that role well. And again, I think the art is pretty good. It's pretty solid. Let's go ahead and see what she's got. So she has Lewin as her spear or her lance. Accelerated special trigger cooldown, so it has a killer/slaying effect. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +6 speed during combat, deals damage equal to 20% of unit speed. And also, if unit speed is greater than foe speed, +5, foe cannot counterattack. So she's going to be all about that speed. Well, let's break that down. Accelerated special trigger cooldown, count -1. Killer slaying effect is always very good. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, that is the condition, and it is incredibly easy to meet. No HP threshold to worry about. There's some very mild positioning requirement. It can work on both phases. So yeah, it's definitely an easy condition, very easy. Grants speed +6 during combat, which in and of itself isn't anything to really write home about. It's an in-combat buff, which is pretty hard to negate. So she is going to get that +6, which is going to help her double. But in addition to that, it deals damage equal to 20% of unit speed. So I don't know what her speed stat is going to be. Notice that there's no limitation to this. Like usually with skills like this, it'll have in parentheses like a maximum increased damage of 10, right? Or her maximum increased damage of X based upon something else. Like there's usually a ceiling. In this case, there isn't a ceiling, which is kind of surprising to me. Because she can probably get some pretty significant speed. If you're just going to keep stacking speed on her, and in combat buffs to speed, she can do a lot of heavy damage and deals damage. I believe that's going to be true damage. So even if she would be normally dinging at 0 damage, she's still going to have the 20% of unit speed. I think I have to remind myself of what the terminology is that they use when they say true damage versus not. Now, true damage in and of itself, for those of you that don't know, again, that means that it is going to do the damage, not taking into consideration any boosts to the damage, and it's not going to take into any consideration the defenses of the enemy unit. It's going to do a solid 10 damage. Think of Wrath or any of those other skills that that say it'll do that amount of damage. That's just like a fixed true damage that it's going to do. And it really only makes an effect when you would be ordinarily dinging. Because even if you'd be dinging against somebody and doing 0 damage, you're still going to do the true damage. So as long as she has 50 speed, which I'm sure is going to be very achievable, she's going to get 10 true damage when she attacks. And I'm sure you can stack that way higher if you really want to. Like if you wanted to build her entirely to stack on that true damage, you probably could, which is an interesting thing to note, and some interesting applications as far as a potential build in the future. And then that notwithstanding, if unit speed is greater than foe speed +5, which if you're building her to ramp up her speed to incredible levels, foe can't counterattack. That means that her Lewin basically becomes a fire sweep lance. So it's a fire sweep lance that does 20% true damage, 20% of their speed's true damage, and has a killer slaying effect. I mean, all of those things are very strong. Moonbow for the special, she's going to enjoy the fact that it's going to be a 1-turn cooldown because Lewin reduces the cooldown count by 1. Attack speed solo 4, natural, she's going to be a cavalry unit, so she's going to enjoy the solo skills because cavalry does have a tendency to overextend with that increased movement range. So she's going to enjoy the +7 to attack and speed. That's a natural pick. Lull. The lull skills are great on cavalry. I think it's one of the best B-slot skills you can put on a cavalry. And she's going to have a great time with that because it's going to inflict an in-combat debuff on the enemy, which is hard to negate. And then it neutralizes any activated buffs on the enemy to their speed or defense. That speed debuff is going to help very much for her to inflict the sweep effect of her Lewin, as well as just overall increase her ability to double. And then the defense debuff is going to allow her to essentially do more damage, which is great. She doesn't really need a lull attack because as long as she meets the speed condition, she's going to have a sweep effect and she's not going to be counterattacked at all. So it's pretty great. And then rouse attack speed 3 at start of turn if unit is not adjacent to an ally, grants attack speed +6 to unit for 1 turn. Yeah, the rouse skills are pretty decent on the C slot because they're one of the rarer skills that can self-proc a buff to attack and speed, or really any 2 stats, of course, where there aren't that many of them where a unit can just do that on their own. So pretty useful in that respect, and obviously synergizes with the rest of her kit. So pretty fantastic. She just wants to stack on that speed sky high. I mean, just focus everything on increasing her speed, and then she's going to enjoy a sweep effect, she's going to enjoy additional damage, and she's going to be able to double and proc her special, because since she has a killer slaying effect, it has a 1-turn cooldown. As soon as she doubles, the first attack will charge Moonbow, and the second attack will be the Moonbow. So yeah, definitely a cohesive kit and very powerful. Very powerful indeed. So let's keep going here. Take a look at Ingrid's attacking art. Love the quote, love the Lewin, love the fact that she's lunging herself forward. She's got that fierce expression on her face. Love the flames that are exuding off of the weapon itself. It's clean. It's good art. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, here is Dedue, Dimitri's vassal. Alright, Dedue is going to be an armored axe unit, despite the fact that he has no axe in his art, and he in fact has a sword. That is fine. It looks like Kita Senri did a great job on the art. I mean, he looks just as imposing as you would expect him to. No nonsense, not a lot of frills, ready to kind of just all business, and that's exactly what we would expect from Dedue.
They do not like my face.
They don't like, oh god. Animals don't like his face. So he does have a safe skill, which I expect we're going to be seeing more and more of. Let's take a look at what other skills he has. So Steadfast Axe Plus is his weapon. It's a 14 might axe. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack defense plus 5 to unit and neutralizes unit's penalties to attack and defense during combat. Not bad. Not bad for an inheritable axe. 2 spaces within 2 spaces of an ally, incredibly easy condition to meet. Works on both phases and grants him an in-combat buff. As long as he's within 2 spaces of an ally, grants him an attack and defense boost. That's an in-combat buff, relatively difficult to negate. And of course, he's going to enjoy neutralization of any penalties to his attack and defense, which is not to be understated, because quite frankly, there's so many debuffs out there. What it essentially means is that he's going to be able to guarantee that any activated buffs to his attack and defense are going to be on there. They're going to stay on there, which isn't actually, that's kind of an understated ability, but it's pretty strong. Pavis for the special, reduces damage from an adjacent foe's attack by 50%. So he is going to enjoy some increased damage reduction there. Sturdy Stance 3. If foe initiates combat, grants attack defense plus 6 during combat and inflicts special cooldown charge -1 on foe per attack. It's a very strong A-slot skill for an enemy phase unit, which naturally Dedue is going to be. And then his C-slot, attack defense near save 3 if unit uses a melee weapon. Against an ally within 2 spaces of unit, triggers Savior. And if unit Trigger Savior, grants attack defense plus 4 during combat. So we all know about the save skills. What it essentially means is that he swaps in temporarily with his ally and then takes the hit and counter attacks. And he's of course going to enjoy increased defenses, which is great because those defenses are going to increase his survivability against melee weapons, aside from a Dragonstone or any unit that rarely does magic damage up close. And he's going to do increased attack as well, which is a natural pick for him since he is going to be an enemy phase unit that works in tandem with Sturdy Stance as well as Steadfast Axe Plus. I mean, it kind of feels like he's going to be a weaker Gustav, but in the regular summon pool, I guess, which is fine. But I mean, we've seen how powerful and potent that combination can be, having an enemy phase unit that can do this sort of save effect, and it looks like they are pushing the save skills. I feel like they're going to add a counter to these save skills in the future, like some way to neutralize the any swap condition. That's what tends to happen in games like this. Like they'll introduce a new mechanic, and then they'll add another way to counter that mechanic, and then a way to counter that counter mechanic, and so. But at least for the time being, they're certainly entrenched on pushing the save skills. And again, I think it seems like his kid is definitely well positioned to take advantage of it. Let's take a look at what his attacking art looks like. Alright, he's going to be defending. So he's already swapped in. So naturally he has already swapped in to protect his ally, and he has the Savior effect on him, which means he gets an additional attack and defense boost buff. And he actually does have an axe, as he's kind of rearing back to swing forward. Pretty nice, pretty nice. He still has the sword in its scabbard on his hip, but But yeah, let's not worry about that. He's an axe user. All right, so here's Linhardt, who again I believe to be the 4-star focus unit. Probably should have checked that when the banner information came up. So here is Linhardt. He is going to be an infantry cleric. He looks pretty nonplussed, pretty disinterested, which I think is pretty on cue for his character. Yeah, he doesn't seem terribly excited to be here, but he does look smart in that uniform, the academy uniform that he's got on.
Fine.
Yeah, sounds about right. Alright, so Linhardt has Pain Plus. Oh boy, what year is it? Physic Plus for the assist. Okay, Miracle for the special. Renewal 3. Distant Guard 3 for the C slot. Oh, yeah. Yikes. So I feel Linhardt doesn't have anything exciting here. These are all skills that we've seen before and we have available from a lot of other sources. At the same time, none of these skills are bad. These are actually all skills that are kind of worth having in your barracks to inherit onto other units as alternative skills. Like for random encounters or different strategies or things like that. So like, despite the fact that these are all very old skills and relatively accessible skills, at the same time, I feel as though, especially if they're all available at 4-star, or most of them are available at 4-star, it's not bad to have another source of a bunch of these skills because they're actually still relatively useful. So yeah, that's about the best I can say. As the 4-star focus, naturally Linhardt is going to be easier to get merges for. So if you do want a +10 project, and Linhardt is one of your favorite characters, then that is definitely an avenue for you. Let's see what his attacking art looks like. There he goes, and yeah, he just looks like he doesn't care. Which again is totally fine because that's Linhardt. Yeah, he looks good. He looks fine. It's clean art. All of the art on this banner is pretty like it's very normal. It feels very familiar, normal, and clean. Adopted daughter Marianne. I think I'm probably maybe the most impressed by Marianne's art here. So here is Marianne. She is going to be an infantry blue tome user. Marianne certainly is a fan favorite, and people are absolutely going to be excited at her inclusion into the game. I think Hako did her justice here. She definitely looks like a gentle soul. Maybe they could have added a little bit more bags and shadow to her eyes and to add more to her kind of sickly and depressed look that she normally has. But you do get a sense of it here. I mean, she definitely looks quite a bit somber. So they did capture that, and we saw a flash of her attacking art, which looked really great with the ice effect behind her. So let's keep going. Let's take a look at what skills she's got. Let us see. All right. So she's got Icy Fimbulvator, 14 might. It's going to be a blue tome naturally, and not inheritable. It's going to be exclusive to her. Grants attack +3. That's fine. That's pretty good. At start of combat, if unit's HP is equal to or greater than 25%, inflicts attack res -6 on foe during combat. So that's an in-combat debuff. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25% and unit is within 3 spaces of a cavalry or flying ally, unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. And also, if unit deals damage to foe during combat, restores 5 HP to unit. Triggers even if 0 damage is dealt. So I feel like this weapon is a little bit of a hodgepodge collage of different effects with different goals kind of all over the place. I mean, let's break it down. We've got attack +3, which is fine. That's pretty good. And then at start of combat, so you have an HP condition as her condition, which isn't too bad. Being greater than or equal to 25% is a relatively easy condition. The attack speed res -6 is great as a debuff on your enemy. In combat debuff, just going to let her do more damage and take less damage, which is never a bad thing. Now, as long as she has that HP condition and she's within 3 spaces of a cavalry or flying ally, so I know what they're trying to do here. I don't love that just because when you have this condition of mixed, having mixed teams, it just limits the team compositions that you can have with the team, I feel. So I'm just not in love with that. Tana has the same thing going for her with her Refine. I'm just not the biggest fan of those conditions just because they feel a little bit limiting. I might be a little bit biased just because I like to have that freedom of team composition, But that's not to say that it's a bad thing. I mean, and definitely you're going to be able to build teams, and there's no shortage of cavalry and flying allies you can have with her. It's just that you are forced to have one of the two in order to just have the effect of her weapon, of her tome, basically. So as long as she has that condition met, she's going to have a guaranteed follow-up attack. So I wonder if her speed is going to be on the middling side, because she might be relying on the guaranteed follow-up attack in order to, well, get a follow-up attack. In order to double. And if unit deals damage to foe during combat, restores 5 HP to unit, even if it's 0 damage. Just every time she attacks, she's going to get 5 HP, which is going to help her sustain her survivability, but also help her to maintain the condition for her weapon. So it's nice. There's synergy in that respect. She has Iceberg for her special, which does seem to indicate that she's going to have relatively higher res, so it boosts damage by 50% of units res. Blue dual infantry 4, so again the tier 4 skills for the dual skills, grants HP plus 5 and then plus 2 to all stats, to all other stats. And then if unit is 5-star, level 40, and a legendary or mythic hero and stat totals are less than 175, treats unit stats at 175 like Arena, and then otherwise it's 180. So it's just a natural progression of the dual skills. Again, I've gone on my own kind of tirade on what I feel about arena scoring in general, so I'm not going to get into that now. But this is a natural progression of the dual skills in general. Lull attack res 3 for the B slot, inflicts attack res minus 3 on foe and neutralizes foe's bonuses to attack res during combat. Those activated buffs. The lull skills are fantastic, and this is no exception to that. Going to increase her damage and then decrease the damage that she takes. Joint Drive Res grants plus 4 res to allies within 2 spaces during combat. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants plus 4 res to unit during combat. I think the Joint Drive skills are actually really great, so that's definitely suitable, and that's going to help her overall survivability. So it does sound like she is geared towards having more survivability so that she maintains her HP threshold, so that she does more damage. And not only that she does more damage, but that she also gets the guaranteed follow-up attack. So that's all well and fine. Part of me was expecting Marianne's tome to be amazing for some reason, but I would say that it's pretty good. It's solid for sure. I think it's decent, but it also doesn't really blow me away. And again, I might be a little biased just because I'm not a huge fan of the certain team composition conditions that are there, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. That just means that that's something that I personally don't like to run, or that's something that I personally don't like to have that limitation on a specific part of a skill or a weapon. So let's keep going. Take a look at her attacking art. And she's going to proc that iceberg, right? So to me, this is probably the best art on the banner. It's a little bit cheating because this is her special art, whereas for some of the characters, we didn't get to see their special attacking art. I don't know. She still has the sad, solemn expression in her eyes. Like, you can see that coming through cleanly. But despite that, she has her arm outstretched. She has that book, the tome just glowing in her other hand, and then you have the circles of crystallized air that are just around her other hand. You have the giant icicles exploding from behind her, and you have this just overall luminescence like around her from behind, just from the ice effect. So it's just really nice. You get a great sense of movement here. It's really neat. It's really nice. And again, it's reflected in her attacking sprite animation too, which is, I think, always a positive. I always like when they do that. So new story chapter, Night and Day, and we are going to get introduced to Not, which I am very excited about as well. And yeah. All right, so starting on the 4th of March, we are getting the new hero banner, Seeds of Fodlan, and as I mentioned, it is naturally going to have a sparking system in play, so if you do 40 summons, you will be able to pick one of these units, guaranteed. Evaluating them as a whole, I think, honestly, Ingrid might be best of banner. I think that her weapon is phenomenal, and it may not be the most versatile, but I think it does what it intends to do, what it sets out to do, exceptionally well. There's just so many really powerful effects. It's streamlined into what the weapon does and what she intends to do. And the fact that, I mean, it kind of depends on her stat line, but I feel like the fact that she can kind of min-max to have just a ton of speed and at the same time have all of these benefits around it is a really powerful thing. Marianne, naturally, I think she's going to be very strong too. I think she just has certain restrictions that may not be as important to everybody out there as it is to me, because I do think it's going to be strong. It's interesting because she's going to have not only some damage, but also some sustain, so a little bit more balanced as opposed to Ingrid. And then Linhardt is Linhardt. I mean, unless you're a fan of Linhardt and you want to use him as a merge project, there's no reason to go for Linhardt here, because he's not bringing anything new to the table as far as skills are concerned. Dedue is interesting because Dedue is going to be an opportunity for people to get a save skill guaranteed. So if people really want a save skill to put onto one of their other units and they weren't able to luck out on the Valentine banner, then I could see people sparking for Dedue specifically to get that save skill. Not to say that Dedue isn't going to have stuff to offer as well. I mean, if people want to build Dedue, they certainly can. But this is the only opportunity for you to get a guaranteed save skill, is this banner. This is the first opportunity, I should say. So, overall, the banner itself, I think it has some fan favorites. I think, again, Ingrid and Marianne are pretty potent, and they share a color. So going on blue here is actually just a pretty tempting prospect. At the same time, A Hero Rises, that banner is just down the road. We're going to get more seasonals, more legendaries and mythics, and this banner is going to be around for 30 days probably. So there's really no rush, I would say, to go into this banner. The most tempting aspect of the banner is the fact that there's some fan favorites here, and you're going to have a sparking system. As far as the art is concerned on the banner, I think it's great. I think it's faithful, but it also doesn't like blow me away or anything. So I think, honestly, I'm probably going to pass on this banner. I don't think I'm going to be going in terribly hard on it. I'll be using my free summon tickets. Fingers crossed, go on blue, because that is going to have the highest chance of being a 5-star, and I would love either of the two ladies on this banner, and that's going to be that. So, but let me know in the comments below if you're excited for the Seeds of Fodlan, if you're excited for any of these units in particular, and who you're going to be summoning for. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching and for taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really, really do appreciate it. Certainly hope you're all staying safe, healthy, secure, and united out there, and wishing the very, very best for you, your family, and your friends. And until next time, let's protect those skies.